let's take it to Bill Maher. Bill Maher, and it was amazing because basically, to give everybody, in case you missed it, Bill Maher basically sent out this tweet where he said basically, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember the exact wording, but his point was, because I can never actually, I just can't have a joke that was that unfunny be retained in my
Right.
brain. It
Mhm.
just sucked. But the point was that the joke was basically Hamas is like a crazy woman who's trying to kill you, and you can only hold her wrists for so long before you need to slap her. And it was fascinating
Mhm.
because, Bill Maher, who, his two things have always been like, I don't know what his dating record was like in college or whatever, but like he's got issues with women, and he's has absolutely no idea what he's talking about when it comes to Islam and the Middle East, and he's got
Right.
he's got an Israel fixation. But I think that what is
Right.
interesting is that, I don't think a couple of years ago, I think a lot of people would have ran with and have ran with obviously the misogyny of that tweet and just how kind of bizarre
Mhm.
that analogy is. But I don't think that there would have been the same type of specific reaction to, um, dude, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And again, and I say this as someone who condemns Hamas all the time. I think Hamas is a loathsome, despicable terrorist organization, absolutely. But the reality is that
Right.
that does not describe in any way, shape, or form the situation, and it's a profound dehumanization. So I want to know, in addition to you going
Well,
off, do you think that type of sentiment from Bill Maher is a lot less acceptable than it may have been a couple years ago? Uh, yeah, yeah,
actually, sadly, unfortunately, I
yeah.
don't. I don't know
Hmm.
if you watched his show on Friday, but
I
when he
didn't.
made statements
Yeah,
like, well, okay, so I would
yeah.
urge well, I don't know if I want to give him more ratings actually, but but
All right.
if you did happen to catch it, first of all, his entire panel on this topic didn't include one Palestinian whatsoever. If you're
Right.
going to discuss an issue that requires a nuanced and in-depth conversation, and that is so polarizing, you need to have both sides represented. How are you, as the supposed liberal, progressive voice, going to even attempt to have this discussion without that? That's
Right.
number one. And then secondly, he discussed the death of these children, like, and I'm paraphrasing too, but saying that, while it's very sad that they died, we have to look at what their mothers, fathers, and uncles are doing, as if they're the ones launching the rockets.
He
They're not
said this on
innocent
Friday.
civilians. Yep, on his
Okay.
broadcast Friday.
Okay.
And not a direct quote. That's basically the paraphrase of what he said. We have to look at their family members and why is this taking place. And then he went on and on disparaging Muslims that, they've only won two Nobel Prizes, and basically as if we're some, in subhuman species or whatever.
Well,
And it's
we
just
all
sort
know
of
that number of Nobel prizes is that's correlated directly with human rights accorded. So, I mean, that is a fair point.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but wait, sorry. Say, what did you say again? I'm
I'm
sorry, I
just
missed.
being
You
I'm
said
being snarky. I was saying we all know that
okay.
Nobel prizes are
Just making sure.
correlated with
I was like, oh, do I have to check you, Michael?
ah
But
not in that
but in
instance.
all,
Yeah, go ahead.
again, not in that
Yeah.
instance, but
Yeah.
otherwise I will.
Right.
But in all seriousness, what was also disturbing when he made these sorts of comments and statements was that a big chunk of the audience clapped along with him.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
while which is very disturbing,
Definitely.
because if you have, it's one thing for a Hannity to sit there and speak his stuff, and everybody knows that he is anti-Muslim a huge chunk of the time and says ridiculous things. But when you have someone who markets themselves as the bastion of the voice of progress saying this kind of stuff, then it normalizes the dehumanization of Muslims and Arabs and people from the Middle East and from wherever, anybody who may even appear to be Muslim in a mainstream level. And that is the problem with people like Bill Maher. Because if you don't view Muslims as human beings, then who cares when there's thousands of babies being killed in Gaza, or thousands being killed in Iraq, or thousands being killed in Afghanistan? And subconsciously or consciously, you tend to just not care.